Hello, and welcome to the History of Algebra in less than 5 minutes. You might logically be asking yourself at this point, what is algebra? Well, algebra is a type of mathematics where letters are inserted into equations to represent unknowns or variables. It is in fact the unifying thread of almost all present-day mathematics. In a traditional equation, you might see it written as 3 plus 2 equals 5. In an algebraic equation, one of the terms is unknown, or a variable. In this case, as it often is, represented by the letter x. So in an algebraic equation, 3 plus x equals 5, and you would then have to solve for the unknown for the variable, in this case, x. The word algebra is derived from the Arabic word aljabar, from a book written in the year 830 by the Persian mathematician Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. The book was entitled The Compendious Book on Calculation by Completing and Balancing, and it is that word aljabar that is used to represent the terms completion and balancing. The book explained the solutions for linear and quadratic equations, and the term is used to describe operations such as the cancellation of like terms on opposite sides of the equation, what will come to be the key trait of algebra. But it did not emerge from nothing. He lived in the region of the world then known as Persia, today known as the modern-day country of Iran. And he drew influence from the regions and the learning around him, from Asia, from Africa, as well as from Europe. The earliest mathematics that we are aware of emerged in the Middle East and North Africa almost 2,000 years ago. In ancient Babylon, the modern-day country of Iraq, they had clay tablets on which they did things like quadratic equations, cubic equations, eliminating fractions from either side of an equation, as well as basic things like factoring. In neighboring ancient Egypt in Africa, they had linear equations, the practice of substitution, and they even had the earliest form of algebraic proofs by checking their solutions. Here are ancient examples of the mathematics from Babylon as well as from ancient Egypt about 2,000 years ago. We also saw emerging in this part of the world a few years later the early math of Greece, likely building on and strongly influenced by the mathematics from the Middle East and from Africa. Theirs was more of a geometric algebra, using the algebraic structures and equations to determine things with shapes such as rectangles, triangles, and circles. They also developed some of the basic properties of algebra, such as the commutative and distributive laws for multiplication and simplifying expressions. Around the same time in Asia, in both India and China, are also crucial examples of early mathematics that would contribute to the development of algebra. In India, they had both linear and quadratic equations as well as Pythagorean triples. In China, they had simultaneous linear equations using positive and negative numbers as well as magic squares. All of this is to indicate and to emphasize that algebra was a combination of each of these earlier influences of many different people from around the world. It was the collective work of men and women, each learning from and adding to the work of each other. Here on the upper left is a page from the original Arabic manuscript translated into English, as well as a few important men and women who contributed to mathematics and to algebra. In England, Ada Lovelace was a mathematician, a scholar, and she helped to develop the idea of the computer and the algorithm. Hypatia was a mathematician, a philosopher, and teacher in ancient Egypt. And Rene Descartes was a French mathematician who was believed to be the first to regularly use x for the unknown variable in algebraic equations.